Lance by Chance. The untold story of him wrestling as a Von Erich. LanceByChance.com.
Fans, welcome back for Working Fans Wednesday, episode 28. I'm producer Joe. I will be joined shortly by the man they call Dave and AJ Strangebrew. And tonight we are doing a live 5-3-1 on top Randy Savage matches, as well as covering tonight's MLW and AEW cards. Now, in addition to the social medias listed there, we are on Twitch at FansWorking. Our email is workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. Our YouTube is youtube.com/c/workingfanswrestlingpod. Our website, workingfanspodcast.com. Now, our comedy podcast releases every Tuesday, while our wrestling podcast releases every Thursday. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, any major podcast provider. Now, please, the important thing is no matter where you listen to us, please like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you can. It helps get our names out there a little more and just helps get our notoriety up. So please do all of that.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now.
Now, we are brought to you by a variety of great sponsors. First up is 482 Designs. That's FOUR82 Designs at gmail.com. Hit them up for any of your screen printing needs. We've had them make shirts, beautiful stickers for us. You will be happy with the product there. WrestleTopia. At WrestleTopia on Twitter and WrestleTopia on Facebook. You've seen JD Sloan on the show. I talk every week about the great Google Drive sales he has over there. It's a new month. Hit him up, see what he's got. Knockout Wrestling. You know, Dave and I are the commentary team for them. AJ runs the Knockout Rewind podcast, which is gaining hold and doing some great numbers. We actually have shirts available up at knockout-shop.com. Go pick up a Working Fans Podcast t-shirt. We get a cut of the proceeds, and it lets the hottest up-and-coming company in Florida know who you support. Next up, Lance by Chance. You saw the commercial at the top of the show. Lance by Chance, written by Vinnie Barry and Lance Vaughn. It's the story of how Kevin Vaughn became Lance Von Erich and then Lance Vaughn. His life before wrestling, how he got into the business, and the even more wild life that he lives outside of the business. I've said before, this is a book I think anyone can enjoy, and you should definitely go pick it up. Now, last but not least, we are brought to you by The Buzz. That is our podcast network, our podcast home, our podcast family, if you will. If you're keeping up with The Buzz Network, you know that me and Dave guested on regularly scheduled hostilities last week. If you're not familiar with the network, here is a quick commercial detailing the variety of live shows we offer over there. And quick note, in addition to the Wednesday night airing of our show on the Buzz here, we will be doing a Friday replay, Friday or Saturday. The day will depend on when I work. But we're going to do a replay on our network, so on our social media. So if you don't catch us live on the Buzz on Wednesday, catch us on Friday or catch us at any time on the Buzz. Here are the live shows we offer over there.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block, throwing lobs to my top pigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game for the...
Fellas, how are we doing tonight?
Well, good, baby. Got
All of the
coughing,
camping equipment from Toomey Tools in Ocala, Florida.
They're the best. Love me some Toomey Tools.
Now,
Hey.
guys,
We're talking about, oh, yeah, baby. I don't want to jump the gun, but you know what we're talking about. Dig it. Uh-huh.
I know and this
That's
is a
actually
big list
that's
coming off-
Dave's Hulk Hogan impersonation.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Freak out.
actually this is big coming off last weekend's A&E biography. Chuck Winchester wanting to support the boys. Get the shirt. Thank you.
That's right, Chuck. Winter coming all the way from the top.
He saw the cream rise to the top last week on his show, and he can't get enough of it. If you didn't
Nobody knows more about cream rising than Chuck Winchester.
That's right. You're going up the Macho elbow.
last Thursday, we guested on regularly scheduled hostilities, had a blast. But tonight, we're talking top Randy Savage matches. And God, after that biography, how good is Randy Savage? Like, isn't that one of the things that highlighted the most?
Cream of the crop.
The man could call a match on the fly. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I love that. Was part of my favorite was him and Ricky Steamboat talking about how they would quiz each other. You know, okay, 33 is what? Now take it to the rest of the match. You know, it's like, oh my God. And how great was it? Hulk Hogan. No, they didn't try to steal the spotlight from us. They didn't try to do that. Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat was like, we tried to steal the show. This is what we wanted. Like, why wouldn't they try to steal the show? Who wouldn't?
I liked when they were watching. I liked when they were watching the match, and he's like, "Move 1, move 2,
right,
move 3."
Yeah.
And especially at that time, the WWE not especially known for their like high work rate matches. So for WrestleMania 3 to have that kind of a classic, and it's not just like a nostalgia classic, it's like everybody almost agrees that that's one of the best matches of all time. And that's not something you're going to hear much from the WWF.
I think Macho Man, and I loved seeing his stuff for the WWF, and obviously that was highly featured in there. But what I enjoyed was actually his early stuff in ICW with his father, the International Wrestling Championship Wrestling, how they tried to invade Memphis. Jerry Lawler talking about, we felt it was fraud because we weren't going to have matches with these guys. And then ICW folds, and what happens? They have matches with these guys.
Yeah.
That's a good business. Is good business.
And doesn't it say something about how a company conducts themselves when they won't talk about the competition and how it makes the competition look when they can't stop talking about you?
Well, it's no different than even these days. As much as I love AEW, the best thing that they can ever do is just pretend like the WWE doesn't exist.
Right.
That's do your business, do the thing that you do, and just ignore the giant in the room.
100%. Now, We missed you last week, AJ. So do you want to
Oh.
keep us off with a list this week?
Speaking of somebody
yeah,
who missed
sure.
you,
For the record, I didn't miss you guys, but I did miss Randy Oscar. Randy, it's great to see you, buddy.
Randy Oscar. Oh yeah.
See that? How I went straight from heel to face? Boom, big turn. All right, so let me get to my notes here.
Yeah, take you these extensive notes.
All right. So I went down a rabbit hole. It was a very uncomfortable rabbit hole.
Was
'cause
an
I'm a
oi
large
hole.
man. But one of the first matches that I saw that I truly enjoyed was actually from 1985 when they first got their hands on each other. Jerry Lawler versus Macho Man Randy Savage. Like we talked about in the ICW folding up. Now all of a sudden Macho Man, who they knew was challenging Jerry Lawler every week, all of a sudden here he is on TV and they're actually fighting. And to me, that was a big one. Wrestling Classic 1985. November, I believe it was the 7th. Macho Man Randy Savage
Wait a minute.
versus
Billy Jack Hayes?
the Dynamite Kid.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you get a chance to look that one up and you want to see two great workers in their prime,
Oh.
Dynamite Kid before the injuries and Macho Man at his best, absolutely incredible match.
I thought you said the Wrestling Classic. I thought you said Wrestling Challenge. I'm like, wow, you picked up.
No, Wrestling Classic.
Yeah. But actually, WWE's like first ever pay per view, which people think was Mania, but it was actually Wrestling Classic.
The first time, to my knowledge, of them actually meeting, I believe it was a heel versus heel match. Jake Roberts versus Randy Savage from Saturday Night's Main Event in November of '86.
Yes.
That's my number 3 match. To
Double
me, that
disqualification.
yeah, to see two heels at their best working that well, and both of them still managed to be slime balls in the match, it was a very well put together match. Ric Flair versus Macho Man at WrestleMania. I thought they did a good job of actually putting that match together. I thought they did a good story leading up to it, with Flair trying to make it sound like Miss Elizabeth was having an affair with him the whole time.
I actually watched it the other day. Yes. So good.
So I felt like that was a very good one. And then, believe it or not, one of my favorite matches of all time, and it might not be one of his best matches, but I love the Tito Santana Macho Man match when Macho first wins it. I know everybody's going to have Steamboat and they're going to have Macho Man on there. To me, that's just too easy. So I'm going with Tito and I'm going with the Macho Man just because I think that it's what put Macho on the map for the WWE and made him legit winning that Intercontinental title.
No doubt.
100%. That's a good list. Now, Dave, you want to go next? You want me to go?
Sure.
How you want to do this?
Fine. You main event tonight, son. This is all about you. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. All right. He left Steamboat Savage off there. He's right. It is too easy, but to me, it's like I can't leave it off there. It's one of the greatest matches of all time. Yeah, it's highly planned out, as we find out. But at the end of the day, it was still good. Still one of the best matches of all time. Still holds up. It still gives me chills thinking about that match. Ricky Steamboat at that time coming out to actual music. He had the theme that would be used for the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
And it was just so super cool. Still remember that to this day. Like AJ, I actually have Randy Savage, Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8 on my list. To me, that match, it's funny. I like Savage, but I like Stinger. I was never really a Savage guy. I just liked him. But that match with Flair, for whatever reason, I just thought they tore it down, and I was so happy to see Randy Savage win the world title. Because I never thought the way he was positioned at that time as a kid, that we'd ever see Randy Savage win the belt again. So for me to see him do it, I was like, this is pretty cool. And he had blood at that time in WWE was hardly ever happened. So my last 3 matches, and I'm calling this on the fly a little bit because I forgot I didn't write them down. But for historical significance, I'm going to put WrestleMania 4, the tournament final against Ted DiBiase, which I just think I don't want to say that match stands out, but it did stand out that Savage won the world title because this is the
It
first
put him on
time-
the map. So, yeah, he won the
first
world
time
title.
Besides Hulk Hogan and growing up in our childhood, really, other than that, brief Andre just getting the belt and then handing it to Ted, we saw an actual new champion. It felt like a new era was happening. So to me,
The two things that ruined that match for me were actually Hogan and Andre.
That's fair. That's fair. Diamond Dallas Page, Spring Stampede. He helped put Dallas Page on the map. again, that's a common thing with Randy, right? Putting people on the map here. And number 5, and I was a little warrior. I know it doesn't hold up well, but I was. And here's the thing. I still believe, though, if you look at Warrior's resume, the best match he ever had, period, was with Macho Man Randy Savage. There's a couple guys that got good matches with him. I don't count that Hulk Hogan shit, but Rick Rude was another one of them. But to me, Macho Man Randy Savage got the best match ever out of Hulk Hogan.
How many elbows did he drop on
It
Warrior?
was like 5 or 6. In retrospect, it's like kind of like demoralizing, and it's like, why would you do that? But it never was really done back in that day. And,
yeah, pretty much ruined the elbow for me.
But I mean, if you look at it, again, he got the best match ever out of Warrior. They told a great story. So,
Now, how
absolutely.
difficult do you think it was for him to plan that match with the Warrior? Like, how much of a headache was that to set up that?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I bet you, if anything, Warrior probably listened to fucking Randy. Like, I'm sure he didn't want to deal with that shit.
I like to picture the Warrior just going, okay, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, go.
That's all he needed to know.
That's all I need to know, baby. Green grass to the crop.
Now, AJ, I'm going to disappoint you right off the top. I got Savage Steamboat, WrestleMania 3. It's kind of hard not to include it on there just because it's the best match WWE's probably ever done. Like,
This is
best
gonna
wrestling
be
match.
this is gonna be AJ's like I am with Flair and Race.
Yeah. I have also Savage versus Flair, WrestleMania 8. I remember that whole build-up. It's one of those storylines that sticks in your head. And knowing Randy Savage, I mean, he was pretty much the guy he portrayed on TV, and that really played into his paranoia. So I thought,
Wild.
amazing.
Absolutely wild to think they got Randy to do that shit.
I got Savage versus Hogan, WrestleMania 5. To me, just Savage, WrestleMania, those 4, 5, 6, you can't really.
The destruction of the mega powers. Yeah.
It's epic. Everybody loves it. Yeah, it's a huge deal. It doesn't hold up to me. For me, it was a time when now we're going back into Hogan, and this is when, like, you hear my fandom where I talk about there's certain guys I liked. I liked Hogan. Now I'm getting bored with Hogan. Why are we putting the title back on this guy?
I don't like the soap opera crap, but I enjoyed the Orndorff turn a lot more than I enjoyed the Macho Man turn from the Mega Powers.
Yeah, but Joe's got one more. I don't want to take away from.
I got two more. AJ, I stole
Two.
one from your list. I got Savage versus Roberts, Saturday night's main event, 1986. Hard to deny it. And then I'm finishing up with the WrestleMania 4 tournament final.
Okay.
He definitely deserved the championship, and to see him get it at that time really put him over. Josh DeBoard showing up. How's it going, Josh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Josh DeBoard.
Now, anybody watching, drop your Randy Savage top 5s on us because we're about to decide what the top 3 is going to be.
So I got to tell you, I agree with Dave on one, and I almost put it on my list, but like I said, I went down that classic rabbit hole. I really enjoyed the Diamond Dallas Page Macho Man, and he did really make Diamond Dallas Page. Diamond Dallas Page was a borderline just mid-card guy, and he literally became a main eventer because of Randy Savage.
Yeah, and the backstory behind that too. I think DDP's told the story before, but Iron Anderson's like the agent, and he goes back, and they basically gave him permission to do how the match whatever they wanted, and Randy Savage was just like, I think I'm gonna take the elbow, or no, he's like, I think I'm gonna miss the elbow and then take the diamond cutter and get pinned in the middle. And Dallas Page is just like, holy shit! And Iron Anderson looks at him like, I hope you know what this means. And Dallas is like, yeah, Iron, I know what this means.
Yeah, because I think Diamond just thought he was going to get the rub in the match. I don't think he expected that much of a rub.
He versus Roy.
Boardwalk Sunday.
Well, considering his heart exploded, I'm going to go with Royd's 1-0.
AJ Strangebrew versus Royds. Oh, Randy Savage.
Macho Man Randy Oscar, whose birthday was yesterday, actually, by the way. Happy birthday.
Ride the lightning bolt,
Randy,
baby.
if you go to our cameo, we'll actually do a little happy birthday thing for you.
We have a camera?
We will.
Send AJ $20. He'll send you a video.
I gotta say, I think just because it was on our list, we got to include Flair Savage WrestleMania 8.
I think that was on all three lists.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have to have because AJ deep in his heart wanted to put down Steamboat Savage. He did.
Oh no, that belongs
Yeah.
on all. Yeah,
Yeah,
that definitely
so
belongs
I
in the
think
finals
that's got to be the
or
two.
in the top three.
Yeah.
And then
I actually believe the third one should be Jake Roberts and Macho Man. To be honest with you,
I have members of that too. I you know the problem with that is it's a non-finish. I think it was a great match, but it just it was very unique for its time. But God, you start talking about these historic matches like with
are
Ted
we
DiBiase,
including it
Dallas
just
Page.
because we know the snake bite was connected with that feud?
Well, that's
I hate the
earlier
snake
on.
bite because I hate snakes.
Because they did that the feud with the snake and stuff. That's not until years after this.
Oh,
yeah, that's
oh shit.
Yeah.
that the snake bite is actually not until what 1992.
Yes.
I Saturday night's main event then.
So
You're
yeah,
talking about
you're
6 years in between.
you're right. Well, no, it's probably a little earlier than that, but it's in that time period because '92.
It's got to be somewhere around there. Yeah.
'92, he's taking the belt from Flair, and if you remember, that's the same card where Undertaker tombstones Jake and beats him, and that's Jake's last match. So it's actually
It's an easy way to figure it out. What year was the Ultimate Warrior Savage?
it was 90, so 91. The end of 90,
Yeah, because he was in retirement for a year and then came out of retirement because of the attack at the wedding ceremony.
Whereas the Saturday night's main event stuff that we're talking about here was actually Randy Savage was Intercontinental Champ at the time still. So this is going right in that first year of Randy Savage, maybe second.
1986. It was November 86 was the first match between them.
I mean, we
Right.
could put it in as a third one, but I think it's only going to get booted because
Oh yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter because
Savage
we're
Steamboat and Savage Flair is going to be.
I think
That's
no
our
matter
final
what
two.
we put in, it's going to get booted, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
that's our
I
final.
will
two.
tell you why I don't like the tournament final. I don't like the tournament final because they shouldn't have played Hogan and Andre as much as they did. To me, it should have been a clear win and a clear finish for Savage to beat DiBiase.
Well, regardless, I think we got our final two here, guys. I
Yeah,
mean,
so which one do you guys want to vote on? Me, it's tough. Savage Flair is such a classic for me, but I have to go Savage Steamboat just because that work rate is next level.
Yeah, I would love to have Savage and Flair because to me that match actually does mean more. However, that's not the fair way to go. To me, it should be the one that everybody has in their Hall of Fame as the
Right.
best WWE match or one of the best WWE matches of all time.
yeah,
I'm actually a little bit more partial to Michaels versus freaking Bret Hart, but I think that it's got to be in there.
yeah. I love Savage Flair. This is really neck and neck for me. They're both highlights of my fandom because I would say that Savage and Steamboat was the highlight of my young fandom, but Savage and Flair was almost like a rekindle, like WrestleMania 8. Bret Hart and Piper and Savage and Flair like really helped rekindle my love for wrestling when I was starting to maybe get a little bored with it. So,
Well, plus it was the only time that Savage had an opportunity to beat the real world's champion.
And I mean, I'm going to argue that maybe Savage Flair had the better, like, big build story-wise, like WWF story with the pictures and how they connected it with WWF
you know what?
magazine.
I
The other one had the ring bell to the throat,
yes,
had the compelling story behind it, and then had the amazing in-ring work to back it
but
up.
what's funny about that is because even though they're both a long time ago for me, and I just watched it the other day, you're right. You have that compelling storyline with 8 and all that. But when I think back, I remember they had Steamboat like taking speech classes and like learning how to talk again and training his voice. And they would delve into this thing constantly. And Bruno Sammartino, who was the backstage interview, tries to choke Randy Savage because he's so mad what he just done. So they're both really good. I agree. At the end of the day, it's got to be Savage Steamboat because I think that is the match that's just universally.
One of the other things that they did to make Savage look even more of a bad guy in that time period was, if you remember, he had the match not only with the ring bell with Steamboat, but he had those matches with George Steele.
Oh, yeah.
And where Miss Elizabeth showed compassion for George Steele, and he was getting more and more angry because she was having compassion. And then George Steele ended up being in the corner for Steamboat, and you
Right.
had Elizabeth obviously with Macho.
Yeah, Elizabeth, get in the corner like I told you.
Well, guys, you know what the music means. We have a winner for this week's 531. But you guys didn't just come for the live 531. You came to find out what's going on tonight's TV.
How big is
First
Batista's
off,
dick?
MLW has a pretty good card, not as loaded as AEW, but they've got Leo Rush versus Myron Reed 2 for the world middleweight title.
Well, this is the season finale, right, for MLW?
Season finale, that's right.
Yep, Alicia 2 is actually going to have information on the upcoming season, which is going to kick off with a taping at the 2300 Arena.
And they're back June 3rd or something, is that correct?
Yep, from the taping in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I heard from my sources that we might also find out who the leader for Azteca might actually be. That we might get a little bit more detail into that and find out what's going on. Oh, I got sources
on me.
As well as that, they're going to have a look at Contra's contractual control over the World Heavyweight Championship. You got Caribbean champion Richard Holiday in action. And then we've also got Gringo Loco versus Laredo Kid.
I love that
It's going to be a hell of a match. It's not going to be Rush Reed level, but it's going to be a good opener for that.
I just love Holiday's still the Caribbean champion. It's so funny.
Well, he is Carlito cool.
Yeah.
Now, guys, probably the show everybody's talking about tonight. It's on all our minds. The return of the Cage on TNT. How do you guys like the graphics for Blood and Guts coming into this? I love the old school, almost Royal Rumble type graphics they've had for it.
I mean,
design.
I really like the Road to series. If anybody hasn't watched that yet, they did a Road to Blood and Guts. Yeah. It's like 14 minutes long. Yeah.
Yep. And that was
just, they've done a good job with all of their Road 2s. A lot of times I enjoy those as much as any vignette or any promo they have for the show. But like Joe said, they did do a great job this leading up to it and actually bringing the feeling of Blood and Guts with what they're doing. So
there's some other matches on tonight, though.
The matches on tonight, we got Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall, Omega and Michael Nakazawa versus Moxley and Kingston.
I think there's a weak link there.
Britt Baker's going to be in action.
Will be fine.
You versus Jurassic Express versus Varsity Blondes versus the Acclaimed. And obviously the Blood and Guts match to headline this. The Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle. I don't know how they're going to fit all this into a 2-hour show, honestly.
Well, there's something to note, too. The Acclaim, Jurassic Express, SCU, Varsity Blondes, the winner gets a shot at tag belts, too.
I think it's got to be SCU.
Yeah.
Especially after that promo last week. They cut a hell of a promo. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think they're going to lose and end up breaking up and retiring Christopher Daniels. But that was a hell of a promo.
Also, Miro's going to speak tonight, too, which I think is noteworthy because Miro has just killed it, whether it's promos or anything. I think he has an intensity.
I love what he did.
Dark Elevation that he had a good match on. He really smashed somebody.
When he just came back and he just destroyed Kip Sabian there, and then he's like, okay, I forgive you now. It's like, oh, I love what we're doing with this guy all the time.
And how good is it to see Varsity Blondes fucking lifted up into this tag team picture?
It's so cool, and it's exciting to see, with the sad story being told of Brian Pillman Sr., coincidentally, now we're seeing his son take off in the spotlight, so that's awesome.
Well, we saw the lead-in. We saw the preview, the first part of the episode this week. They released it on YouTube, and now you're going to get a chance to see part 2 and part 1 all in one shot. It was such an emotional thing to watch, and to see that poor widow, Melanie, and the way she suffered, the way she struggled. I mean, and his evil daughter, the way she keeps kicking Melanie, like Melanie's done something wrong for wanting to stick up for her.
Okay, you get a little too. Your sarcasm here. That was not a good. Like I felt for everybody involved in that. Clearly, Melanie knows she was wrong to this day.
No. That lady had it coming.
Now, guys, that is actually what we're going to be talking about next week, because by next week, we'll have seen another biography. That whole first episode of Dark Side of the Ring will come out. So on next week's live show, we'll be talking Dark Side of the Ring biography and kind of the nature of wrestling biographies as it is.
One
Well, we
more
need to
thing.
touch base on NXT from last night too.
And one more
Also,
thing too. I wanted to say about the blood and guts, because you did say something, Joe, a minute ago, and I just wanted to make sure we talked about the other matches real quick. But the blood and guts main event, you said, how are we going to fit that in 2 hours? It is noteworthy that 2 weeks ago, Tony Schiavone had said on a taped episode of Dynamite that it's a one-match show. And then it changed last week, and they had other matches for it. And I know they talked about this on Post. Wouldn't it be interesting if we start off with blood and guts tonight, and then we don't have time for those other matches, and it is taped next week, we're having another show, those matches make it on, because we only know one match for the following week. So I'm not
we
saying
are awesome.
yeah, I'm not saying it'll be a one-match show. Maybe it'll be a two-match show, because I don't think Moxley's going to do double duty with this tag match, and he's got Nagata next week. But it'll be interesting to see if we get this whole show tonight.
Like, even if they just did Blood and Guts, Cody QT, and
The
the
tag
Omega, and the Omega.
I say
Right.
2 hours of blood and guts.
That's going to be like, that should be a pay-per-view there. That's paying off like 3 feuds, or not even paying off. It's just the intersection of 3 feuds, and it's
But this
major ones.
me and you talked about this before, Joe, off air. We've talked, like, it's exciting, I think, to see now, as AD talked about what NXT did last night, but with no competition now, AEW has a huge show, and we can kind of see, like, hey, where's this going to be? Is this going to do what we think their cap is, 1.2 million? Or are we going to go past that? No one knows, but I can't wait to find out. It's a good opportunity.
I'm hoping they bury it. I'm hoping they actually beat Raw's number, to be honest with you.
We know.
Now, AJ,
Always
before
the
we
hyperbole.
pick our match of the night tonight, tell us what you wanted to let us know about NXT.
Well, the only thing I want to talk about with NXT yesterday is I thought that they did a great job. First of all, I love the women's match. That was great. But I think they did a great job in the beginning getting over Swerve Scott and
Yes.
showing exactly how athletic those two individuals could actually be.
Super aggressive. I love his aggression.
Super aggressive. I loved it. And quite frankly, in order for that that match to work, there has to be a certain level of aggression.
And
Otherwise, it's not believable.
rough, and we know he's small, and this is going to be his career. Like Darby and a lot of guys this size, he took a hell of a beating. All right, he doesn't have the personality of a Darby. He took a hell of a beating, and it looked good. The match looked great, and then now Swerve's got this entourage, which I think is going to work for him, and I hope it means it's a bigger push for him.
Speaking of similar to Darby Allin, did you see the coffin drop onto Candice LeRae onto the freaking ladder? That was absolutely insane.
That tag match is crazy. Hartwell
that
with
bump is freaking nuts.
Hartwell with the springboard like onto the ropes, and then drops an elbow and goes through the table there. With
that shocked me because Hartwell half the time looks like she's uncoordinated, and then all of a sudden she does that springboard, and I'm like, where the frick did that coordination come from?
I think Hartwell's been learning on the go, and I think they've been careful with her, and I think we're going to see more out of her in the future. I was very impressed.
And just one more thing real quick. I thought they did a great job of getting over everybody in the main event picture. Pete Dunne, freaking Kyle O'Reilly, Prince, and obviously the champ. All of them looked amazing. And they still managed to get over Gargano and freaking get over, what's his sidekick there? Yeah, Austin Theory.
They kind of teased potential Johnny Gargano cross a little bit down the road, too. So,
but the way Kyle O'Reilly came in with the personality and tipped his hat at Scarlett and then got in the face, I thought that was great, and I love what they're doing with Dunn. How everybody should fear him. That's and I don't want to leave out. Sorry, I don't want to leave him out. The other tag match was fantastic too. The Grizzled Young Veterans. I'm sad, but Ciampa and frickin' what's his name there? They were absolutely amazing also.
Now, guys, we close out the show most weeks picking our match of the night. What do you guys got for match of the night tonight?
It's got to be blood and guts. I think this should be unanimous. I mean, I know it's not we don't all want to agree on everything, but I mean, this is the biggest match of the night. It's not even close. Like this is why we're going to wonder what AEW does for a rating tomorrow and what this means. And this is a very exciting possibility.
Yeah, I want to like Rush Reed, but it's got to be blood and guts.
Yeah,
I think the Pinnacle has got to get the rub here.
I hope so.
I don't see how if Inner Circle goes over and they don't get the rub, then you're just burying a team that you just put together. So to me, they've got to get the rub. I am looking forward to that match. I'm not looking forward to Cody and QT Marshall. I think Cody's been away from the ring for too long, quite frankly. Looked a little rusty just in that fight last week, and I don't like QT Marshall. So
Wardlow they've been giving little things with him. I think the idea, we'll see how it plays out, is he will break out tonight, and MJF, of course, the slime ball will do something slimy to take the credit and the win at the end of this. But I think that's how you play this out. You got to have a breakout star. I think Wardlow will be that guy, and I think MJF will be the guy who gets all the heat at the end, though.
agreed.
Nice. Well, we got some bold predictions tonight. Guys, enjoy your Wednesday night watching, and we will see you again next week when we talk wrestling biography.
Yeah, take it to the limit. Working in.